Ever wondered how much of history we know is actually true? Well, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey that will make you question everything you thought you knew. Our first stop? The land down under, Australia, back in the year 1932. This is where a rather unusual war took place. Brace yourself, it's not the kind of conflict you'd expect. This was the Great Emu War. Yes, you heard it right. Emus, those large, flightless birds native to Australia. These creatures were deemed a nuisance due to their overpopulation and the resulting loss of crops. So, what did the Australian military do? They waged a war against these birds. But here's the kicker. The emus won. Despite all the firepower, the emus proved too cunning and numerous for the humans to handle. So, the next time you underestimate an emu, remember they have a military victory under their belt. Did you know once upon a time tomatoes were considered fatal? Yes, you heard it right. Let's make a leap back to the 18th century Europe, a time when the humble tomato was not so welcome on the dinner plate. Can you believe it? The fruit we now love was once dreaded. This fear stemmed from a simple misunderstanding. High-class folks who dined using pewter plates often fell ill after consuming tomatoes. The reason? Not the tomato itself, but the lead in their plates. The acidity of the tomato would leach the lead from the plate, leading to lead poisoning. A case of mistaken identity, if you will. Over time, as knowledge improved, people began to understand that tomatoes weren't the culprits. Instead, it was the lead in their plates that was causing the health issues. And thus, from being a feared fruit, tomatoes gradually became a beloved staple in cuisines worldwide. Today, if someone doesn't like tomatoes, they might just be channeling their inner 18th century noble. Ever heard of a war that lasted less than an hour? Well, buckle up, because we're delving into the fascinating tale of the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896, which holds the record for being the shortest war in history. Imagine this, a conflict so brief that it lasted just between 38 and 45 minutes. So, what led to this flash of a war? It all began with a power struggle between the mighty British Empire and the Sultanate of Zanzibar. When the previous sultan, who was a British ally, passed away, his successor, Khalid bin Bargash, ascended the throne without British approval. This defiance was a no-go for the British, who demanded Khalid's immediate removal. And so, the war began. But it was over almost as quickly as it started, ending with a decisive British victory. The Sultan's palace was bombarded and Khalid was captured, marking the end of the shortest recorded war. So, history has witnessed wars that ended even before your favorite sitcom episode. Can you imagine a time when people actually sold their wives? Now, as shocking as it may sound, this was a reality in England from the 17th to the 19th century. You see, back then, getting a divorce was a luxury only the rich could afford. So, for the less fortunate, selling their wives became a sort of unofficial alternative to ending an unsatisfactory marriage. This unconventional practice usually involved a public auction where the husband would sell his wife to the highest bidder. Quite often, the wife was sold along with her belongings, almost as if she were a piece of property. Now, let's be clear, this bizarre practice was never legal under English law. However, it was widely accepted by society due to the lack of affordable legal alternatives for the poor. Fortunately, we've come a long way from such bizarre practices, haven't we? Lastly, did you know about the time when the whole world was almost plunged into a nuclear war over a bear? Yes, a bear. Back in 1962, during the peak of the Cold War, a bear climbed a fence at a U.S. military base in Wisconsin. This seemingly innocent act set off alarms, causing a scare that nearly sparked World War III. Now imagine this, a single bear, unaware of the political tensions of the world, nearly tripped the scales of global conflict. It's almost comical, isn't it? Yet at the same time, it's a chilling reminder of how close we were to a nuclear catastrophe. This incident serves as a testament to the unpredictability of history, where a simple act of nature can have potentially earth-shattering consequences. So history is not just about dates and battles. It's full of intriguing incidents that make it much more interesting. Until next time, keep wondering and keep learning.